Hello everyone, this is James Fredrickson, your Engineering 100 instructor. Today we'll be covering pivot tables. So the first thing I'd like everybody to ponder is, what exactly is a pivot table? Well, a pivot table takes data. So I'm going to go down here and click on the Data tab, and I'm going to show you an existing table. So this table has lots of data in it, and some of the data is redundant. And so what we can do is, if we create a pivot table, we can reduce some of the redundant data. We can also ask it questions. Which project manager had the most projects that were on time and on budget? Which project manager was the worst project manager and had everything that was late and delayed and over budget? So these are questions that we can ask this by creating a pivot table. So let's go back to the instructions and let's take a look at what the problem for problem number 1 is. So here are the directions, and it would be very convenient if we copied these onto the problem page. So I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click copy, and then I'm going to click on problem 1 worksheet tab, and then up here I've created a text box for you, and what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to copy the directions there. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. Okay, now I've got my directions up here. I've created a pivot table for you, and this is the pivot table, and this pivot table was created off of this data right here. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to do some editing and some sorting of that table, and we're going to reduce some of the redundant data. So let's read the question up here, and it says problem 1, which project manager? So right away we know that project manager needs to be selected. So let's go over here and let's select project manager. So that's one of the fields that we've selected, project manager. For the year, had the most projects delayed and over budget. Well, delayed and over budget fell under which field name? So I'm going to go back here to the Data tab, and on time is one of them because we've got on time and delayed, and the other one is as budgeted and over budgeted. So these are the field names that I want to look for in the pivot table, on time and on budget. So I'll go over here, I'll select on time. Under on time, I've got two different choices, right? We've got on time and delayed. So we want to see the delayed ones. So I'm going to check here and get rid of on time and click OK. And then the other field that we wanted to select was on budget. So I'll select on budget. And we also want to get rid of one of these. So we want to get rid of the as budgeted. So we'll click OK. So we've got a bunch of these fields selected already, but it wants to know how many projects were delayed and over budget. So if you go back over here on the Data tab and you look, it says project. We assigned a project number of 1 for each project manager, and lots of different project managers handle lots of different projects. So this is a counter. So if we wanted to count up all the projects that Carolyn Wolf had, this would be project number 1, and then we're going to look for her name again. Here's project number 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. Go on down here a little bit further, here's another one, so 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3, and so on and so forth. So that's what this counter is going to do for us. So we want to select project up here. All right, so we've got PRJ, project manager, on time, on budget, and then let's see what else the question is asking. And for what PM, PM stands for project manager, was the total over budget actual dollars? So actual dollars is what type of data? Actual dollars is the same thing as actual cost. So we want to find the actual cost field. So we'll go on over here and we'll look for actual cost and we'll select it. And if you take a look here, as we've been clicking and selecting things, we've been gaining points. So these are the possible points right here. And here's the points that we've gathered so far. So problem location was when we copied the problem in here, we got credit for it. Checked fields in proper box. So we have all the fields checked correctly, but we need to make sure that all of the fields are in the proper box. Now, if you look at the data right now, you can see it's kind of long and convoluted and it's difficult to read. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to clear things up a little bit. So what we can do is we can filter this data, and if you look right here, it says more filtering required. So what does a filter do? Filters eliminate data or choose specific data for you. And what we can do is we can apply those filters, and then we can hide them so we don't see them, but they'll still be applied. So I'm going to click and hold my mouse here, and I'm going to drag up into the filters box. Now watch the data. You can see it starts to reduce. It's still filtered. It's just not displaying the term on budget anymore. And I'm going to do the same thing with on time, and I'm going to drag it up here. And then take a look. Checked fields in proper area box. So we have everything checked, and we have all our boxes, all our fields rather, in the correct box. So it says fields properly filtered, 4 out of 4, great. Properly sorted. So what do we mean by sorted? Well, let's take a look up here. It says which project manager for the year had the most projects delayed and over budget, and what was the total actual dollars? So which one has the most? Well, we can see right now that list is rather short, and we can see that Bruce Boyce does. But if you take a look here, they're out of order, aren't they? It says 4, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 1. What we'd like to do is we'd like to sort those highest to lowest. So if I'm moving my mouse in this column right here, and I click and I right click, I can go down to sort, and then I can move my sort from largest to smallest. Now Bruce doesn't change, but you can see it reordered some of the others. And now take a look. Everything is properly sorted. And then last but not least is answers properly entered. So up here at the top, it's asking you to enter some data. So which project manager? Well, it was Boyce Bruce. So I'm going to click my mouse here, and I'm going to type it in just as we see it. So capital B, O-Y-C-E, and a comma, and a space, and Bruce. We'll see if we get a point. We did get a point. So I went from having 0 points to a 1 point. And the most projects delayed and over budget. Well, here's the most projects delayed. It was a number 4, so I'll select here and I'll put a 4 in. And you can see now I have 2 points out of the 3. And what was the total actual dollars? Well, that value is right here. So if I click my mouse here and I type in 605, 462, 0, and I strike the enter button, you can see I've got all my points. So I've scored a 20 out of 20 on this. So far, so good. Okay, so this is the one that I was going to demo for you. So let's just take a look at problem 2. Here's problem number 2. You're going to need to copy the instructions from the assignment sheet tab. So you would go to assignment sheet tab. You would move to project number 2, right click and copy. And go back to problem 2. And right click and paste. Now I've got problem 2 in here. You can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to see. And then you read the problem, you click on the pivot table, you choose the correct fields, you filter them, and hopefully you get the right answer. Anyway, I hope this cleared up pivot tables. Thanks for listening.